My son got a flat tire on his 70. We start the stopwatch, see how long this takes. I think maybe we can do it in 10 minutes. This is a 19 millimeter on this side. Rear axle is a 19 millimeter. You can slide the wheel forward and get the chain off there. Pull the axle out. Oh, I forgot to take it off. Get yourself deep well 14 millimeter. Pull the brake. Take off the brake rod nut. The nut on the stem is a 12 millimeter. Better reposition the camera. Give you guys a better view. $12 millimeter nut on the stem. I think I've found these style tire spoons to be my favorite. A lot of people use this style. I guess it's just personal preference. Yep. You know, when you have a brand new tube, you can be rough when you're taking the tire off. If you are planning on patching the tube, or if you're like out on the trail, maybe you want to go a little easier. You don't do more damage to the tube. I don't see what the problem is, but we'll look at that later. Make sure you feel through the tire. Make sure there's not any nails or sticks, anything poking through there. Got a little baby powder in there. It's supposed to help with moisture, and you know, there's a little friction between the tube and the tire every bump you go over. So if you put a little baby powder in there, it'll help. And this is just tire soap. You can get away with dish soap if you don't have a name. You can get away with dish soap. So with these, you leave one nut on there. And this one's supposed to be hand tight, maybe a little more than hand tight. But this bottom one stays on there, and it's not super tight. It's not like you crank down on it. You know, put just a little bit of air in there. Not too much. Maybe that's a little extra. I'll let a little air out in a minute. These kids' bikes are a little easier without without the rim lock. Find the hole for the stem. Bring the camera over here for you. By the way, if you really want to learn how to do this, you need to go watch Dirt Bike TV 1 on Instagram. So I slide this through, put the nut on just a little bit, scoot it up in there, start putting it on. You don't need to worry about pinching the tube too much at this point. The pressure isn't going the right way, to worry about pinching the tube at this point. But on the next bead, you definitely got to worry about it. And that's where I think having a couple pounds of pressure in the tire, in the tube, really helps. So look on the backside, make sure you didn't catch the piece. Sometimes you can fold the tube over. Oh, let me get the bead, buddy. It's handy to have one of these bead buddies. This helps hold the bead down where it's supposed to be. Oh, no. See if we can do it without it. Oh. Keep your sweatshirt strings out of the tire. I don't really know what's going on here. I bet I just pulled this out of the washer. Now I'm out here getting dirty. My wife's going to be pissed. So now you can start worrying about pinching the tube. So when you go in there, just feel, make sure the little hook of the tire iron make sure it's on metal, not on rubber. A little air in here. Check around, make sure the beads popped out all the way around. Ew. When I'm on camera, I gotta keep my workspace clean. Gotta keep the parts clean. Costs me extra time. Check your wheel bearings. Make sure they got grease on them. Make sure they're not too dirty. Clean off the axle. I'll grab a little fresh grease. Grease is important for, obviously for the bearings and stuff, but it's also really important to keep the water out. The grease, creates a little bit of a seal around the axle and the bearings, and it can go a long way in keeping water out of your wheel bearings. Better do a time check. What are we at? Oh, yeah. I think we might make it by 10. Let me zoom you guys out here. Yeah, I better quit screwing around with the camera and actually get to work. Make sure the chain's over here on the side. Otherwise, when you put the axle in here, you won't be able to get the chain, and then that just costs time. Try to clean these pieces, these sealing surfaces on the axle spacer best you can. This is where you got to make sure the chain is up where it's supposed to be. Otherwise, you'll find yourself sitting there torquing it all down. Chain's on the wrong side. Now put the brake rod back in there. You know, disc brake bikes are even easier to do, but not what we're dealing with here. Close. Oh, it just went over 10 minutes. Darn. You know, and these axles, they don't need to be as tight as some people do, you know? Just nice and snug. There we go. Come over here, make sure that back brake still works. You don't want your kid run out here all excited after school and go ripping off with no brakes. So 11 minutes, 12 seconds. I'm not too far off my 10-minute mark. You know, maybe if I hadn't been moving the camera around or something, could have made it within 10. Thanks for joining. That's all there is to it.